Welcome to our journey through history, where today we'll uncover the fascinating story of the early Byzantine Empire. From the rise of Constantinople as the new heart of the Roman Empire to the monumental construction of the Hagia Sophia and the dramatic encounters with Islam. This is a tale of transformation, resilience, and cultural brilliance. Join us as we explore how this era shaped Eastern Europe and left an enduring legacy on the world. 1. The founding of Constantinople, a new capital for a new era. In the year 330 AD, a pivotal moment in history unfolded as Emperor Constantine the Great inaugurated Constantinople, a city destined to become the epicenter of a new Roman era. The decision to establish this new capital was not merely a logistical move, but a bold statement of vision. Constantine's choice of Byzantium, a small, strategically located Greek settlement on the Bosporus Strait, was a masterstroke, ensuring that the Roman Empire could anchor its future in the wealth and stability of the East. Constantinople's geographic position was unparalleled. Nestled between Europe and Asia, it controlled critical land and sea trade routes that linked the Aegean Black Sea and Mediterranean regions. The city's natural defenses, bolstered by the narrow waters of the Golden Horn and the Sea of Marmara, provided security against invasions, a crucial advantage in an age of increasing external pressures. With these attributes, Constantinople was destined to become a thriving hub of commerce, culture, and diplomacy. This monumental shift also reflected broader transformations within the Roman Empire itself. By the 4th century, the western provinces were in decline, plagued by economic instability and external threats. In contrast, the eastern Mediterranean was flourishing, boasting vibrant urban centers, a robust economy, and a rich cultural heritage deeply rooted in Hellenistic traditions. By reorienting the empire toward the east, Constantine not only ensured the survival of Rome's legacy, but also laid the groundwork for a distinctly new civilization, the Byzantine Empire. The city's founding was imbued with symbolism and ceremony. Constantine envisioned Constantinople as a new Rome, imbued with imperial grandeur and Christian sanctity. The city was adorned with magnificent public buildings, forums, and palaces. Its infrastructure included aqueducts, baths, and the monumental hippodrome, which became the center of social and political life. Yet, unlike Rome, Constantinople was explicitly Christian from its inception, reflecting Constantine's personal faith and the empire's gradual transition toward Christianity as its defining religion. Constantinople quickly eclipsed its predecessor in importance. The city's location made it a conduit for the exchange of ideas, goods, and cultures, drawing influences from across the Roman Empire and beyond. It became a focal point for the consolidation of imperial power, a place where emperors ruled with a blend of Roman legal tradition and emerging Christian doctrine. This fusion of classical and Christian elements defined the city and marked the beginning of its rise as a global center of influence. The establishment of Constantinople was not just a relocation of resources or a shift in political focus. It was a profound statement of adaptability and resilience, a testament to the Roman Empire's ability to reinvent itself in the face of changing times. As the centuries unfolded, Constantinople would grow into a metropolis of unparalleled significance, shaping the course of history and earning its place as one of the greatest cities the world has ever known. 2. The Christianization of the Roman world. By the 4th century AD, the Roman Empire was undergoing a profound transformation that would reshape its identity and legacy for centuries to come. Christianity, once a marginalized and often persecuted faith, emerged as the dominant religion, fundamentally altering the empire's cultural and political landscape. This monumental shift began with the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, issued by Emperor Constantine the Great. This decree not only legalized Christianity, but also granted it equal status with traditional Roman religions, signaling a new era of religious tolerance and imperial patronage. Constantine's personal conversion to Christianity played a pivotal role in this transformation. Although his faith was likely solidified by the dramatic vision of a cross before his victory at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, Constantine's policies reflected more than just personal belief. They represented a strategic and visionary adaptation to the changing dynamics of the empire. By aligning himself with the Christian community, Constantine gained the support of a growing and increasingly organized religious group, which was crucial for maintaining unity within the empire's diverse population. Over the next decades, subsequent emperors not only continued Constantine's policies, but also actively advanced the Christianization of the Roman state. Theodosius I, in particular, declared Christianity the official religion of the empire in 380 AD. Through the Edict of Thessalonica, marking the culmination of a process that had gradually suppressed pagan practices and institutions. Pagan temples were closed or repurposed. Sacrifices were outlawed, and the state increasingly identified with the Christian Church. This fusion of imperial authority and Christian doctrine established a powerful precedent that would define governance in the Byzantine Empire. At the heart of this transformation was a significant linguistic and cultural shift. As Christianity spread across the Eastern Roman Empire, Greek became the predominant language of administration, theology, and culture, replacing Latin. This change was not arbitrary, but deeply rooted in the Eastern Mediterranean's Hellenistic heritage, where Greek had long been the lingua franca. Greek-speaking theologians, such as Origen and the Cappadocian Fathers, played a critical role in articulating and systematizing Christian doctrine, making it accessible and resonant with the empire's diverse populations. This linguistic evolution also reflected the broader cultural transition from a Roman to a Byzantine identity. While the Western Roman Empire clung to its Latin roots, the Eastern Roman Empire embraced Greek as both a practical and symbolic expression of its distinct character. Greek, with its rich philosophical and literary tradition, became the language of the church and state, facilitating the empire's transformation into a Christian and Hellenistic society. The Christianization of the Roman world was not merely a change in religious affiliation, but a profound realignment of societal values and structures. Christianity provided a unifying ideology that transcended regional and cultural differences, offering a sense of shared identity within the sprawling empire. It also redefined notions of authority and legitimacy, as emperors now ruled not just as secular leaders, but as God's chosen representative on earth. This era laid the foundation for the Byzantine Empire, where Christianity and Greek culture would become inseparable pillars of its identity. The Roman Empire's embrace of Christianity was a momentous turning point, signaling the end of antiquity and the dawn of a new era in European and Mediterranean history. 3. The architectural marvel of Hagia Sophia. In the heart of Constantinople stands one of the most iconic monuments of the Byzantine Empire, a structure that has captivated the imagination of historians, architects, and visitors for centuries. The Hagia Sophia, commissioned by Emperor Justinian I and completed in 537 AD, this awe-inspiring basilica was not merely a place of worship, it was a testament to the empire's engineering prowess, artistic vision, and the divine authority of its ruler. The Hagia Sophia, meaning holy wisdom, was built to replace an earlier church that had been destroyed during the Nika riots of 532 AD, a violent uprising that threatened Justinian's rule. Determined to leave an enduring legacy and reassert imperial power, Justinian embarked on an ambitious reconstruction project. He entrusted two renowned architects, Isidore of Miletus and Anthemius of Tralles, to design a structure that would surpass all others in scale and splendor. What emerged was a marvel of innovation and artistry. Hagia Sophia's most striking feature is its massive central dome, which seems to hover weightlessly above the nave. This effect is achieved through a pioneering architectural technique: pendentives, triangular segments that allow the circular base of the dome to rest on a rectangular structure. At its completion, the dome rose over 55 meters 180 feet above the floor, with a diameter of 31 meters 102 feet, creating a sense of celestial grandeur. The structure was adorned with gold mosaics that reflected light streaming through its numerous windows, filling the interior with a shimmering, ethereal glow. The Hagia Sophia was not merely an architectural feat, it was a symbol of the empire's might and divine favor. Justinian famously declared upon its completion, "Solomon, I have outdone thee," a reference to the biblical King Solomon and his legendary temple. This statement underscored the emperor's belief that the Hagia Sophia was a manifestation of God's will, affirming his role as God's chosen representative on earth. The basilica also served as the epicenter of Byzantine religious and political life. It hosted the coronations of emperors, religious councils, and major liturgical ceremonies. As the seat of the Patriarch of Constantinople, the Hagia Sophia became the spiritual heart of Orthodox Christianity, influencing church architecture and iconography across the Byzantine world and beyond. The significance of the Hagia Sophia extended far beyond its time. Its design inspired countless structures, including the famed Ottoman mosques of Istanbul, which drew upon its harmonious blend of space, light, and form. The Hagia Sophia stood as a beacon of cultural and engineering achievements, embodying the grandeur and sophistication of the Byzantine Empire. Even today, the Hagia Sophia remains a powerful symbol of Constantinople's legacy, reflecting the extraordinary vision of Emperor Justinian and the enduring ingenuity of Byzantine civilization. It is not merely a building but a bridge across eras, connecting the ancient, medieval, and modern worlds. 4. Constantinople, the jewel of the medieval world. Throughout the Middle Ages, Constantinople stood as a beacon of cultural wealth and power city that not only dominated the Byzantine Empire, but also commanded respect and envy across the known world. With its population surpassing 500,000 at its height, Constantinople was one of the largest urban centers of its time, reveling in often surpassing the grandeur of its contemporaries. Strategically positioned at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, Constantinople was uniquely situated to control trade routes, linking the Mediterranean to the Black Sea and the Silk Road. This prime location transformed the city into a bustling hub where merchants, scholars, and adventurers from Asia, Europe, and the Islamic world converged. Spices from India, silks from China, furs from the steppes, and gold from Africa flowed through its markets, making Constantinople synonymous with wealth and cosmopolitanism. The city's infrastructure reflected its importance and sophistication. The Theodosian walls, an unparalleled feat of engineering, safeguarded Constantinople for centuries, withstanding sieges that would have felled lesser cities. These massive fortifications, combined with the city's natural defenses, earned it the reputation of being nearly impregnable. Inside the walls, an intricate network of aqueducts and cisterns ensured a reliable water supply, while vibrant marketplaces like the famed Forum of Constantine and the Grand Bazaar showcase the city's economic vitality. Constantinople was not just a center of commerce, it was also a hub of knowledge and culture. The city's scholars and scribes preserved classical texts from ancient Greece and Rome, safeguarding them during an era when much of Western Europe faced cultural decline. Manuscripts housed in Constantinople's libraries, including works by Homer, Aristotle, and Euclid, later found their way back to Western Europe, where they played a critical role in sparking the Renaissance. Diplomatically, Constantinople held a pivotal position. Its emperors often served as intermediaries between East and West, leveraging the city's wealth and influence to negotiate alliances and manage conflicts. The city's cosmopolitan nature fostered a unique culture, where Byzantine traditions mingled with those of the Islamic caliphates, the Latin West, and the Slavic world, enriching its art, cuisine, and intellectual life. Yet Constantinople was more than its walls, trade routes, or scholarly achievements. It was a symbol of resilience. Despite facing invasions, economic challenges, and political upheavals, the city endured as the heart of the Byzantine Empire. Its monuments, from the Hagia Sophia to the Hippodrome, stood as testaments to its enduring legacy, inspiring awe in all who visited. Constantinople's role as a repository of ancient knowledge and a melting pot of cultures ensured its influence far outlasted the Byzantine Empire itself. Long after its fall in 1453, the city's legacy lived on, shaping the course of European and global history. Constantinople truly earned its title as the jewel of the medieval world. 5. Justinian's reconquest and the partial revival of the Roman West. In the 6th century, the Byzantine Emperor Justinian launched an ambitious and unprecedented campaign to restore the grandeur of the Roman Empire, at a time when the Western Roman Empire had been fragmented for decades. Following its fall in 476 AD, Justinian envisioned a unified Roman world under Byzantine rule, reclaiming territories that had once been the heart of Roman civilization. To achieve this monumental goal, Justinian relied on the brilliance of his generals, particularly Belisarius, whose military campaigns became legendary. The reconquest began with North Africa, where Belisarius defeated the Vandals in a swift and decisive campaign in 533 AD. The Vandals, who had established a kingdom in Carthage, were a formidable maritime power, but Belisarius' strategic acumen ensured their defeat. This victory re-established Byzantine control over one of the empire's most economically vital regions, restoring a major source of grain and revenue. Encouraged by his success, Justinian turned his attention to Italy, where the Ostrogoths had established a kingdom following the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. The Gothic War, which lasted from 535 to 554 AD, was a prolonged and brutal conflict. Belisarius initially achieved remarkable successes, capturing Rome and eventually Ravenna, the Gothic capital. However, the war dragged on under Justinian's other generals, resulting in widespread devastation across Italy. While Byzantine forces ultimately secured victory, the prolonged conflict severely weakened the region's economy and infrastructure, diminishing the benefits of its reclamation. Justinian's reconquest extended beyond Italy and North Africa to parts of southern Spain, where Byzantine forces briefly reasserted control. These efforts, though impressive in scope, stretched the empire's resources to their limits. Military campaigns were enormously expensive, straining the Byzantine treasury and forcing heavy taxation. Furthermore, the reconquered territories were vulnerable to new threats, including the Lombards in Italy, who would soon erode much of Justinian's gains in the west. Despite these challenges, Justinian's campaigns were driven by a clear vision: the restoration of Roman unity and the assertion of Byzantine power as the legitimate successor to the ancient Roman Empire. His ambition was not merely territorial but ideological. Justinian sought to reinforce the connection between the Byzantine Empire and its Roman heritage, symbolizing continuity in a rapidly changing world. Beyond the battlefield, Justinian's efforts to revive the Roman West were complemented by his administrative and legal reforms, including the codification of Roman law in the Corpus Juris Civilis. This monumental work ensured that the principles of Roman governance and justice would endure, influencing legal systems across Europe for centuries. Ultimately, while Justinian's territorial reconquests were short-lived, their symbolic importance cannot be overstated. They marked the last major attempt to reunify the Roman world, and solidified Justinian's legacy as the last truly Roman emperor of Byzantium. His campaigns embodied the resilience and ambition of the Byzantine Empire, a testament to its determination to preserve and honor the legacy of Rome. Justinian's dream of a restored Roman Empire may not have endured in its entirety, but his vision and efforts left an indelible mark on history, bridging the ancient and medieval worlds in a way few other figures could claim. 6. The rise of Islam and the changing geopolitical landscape. The 7th century is a pivotal era for the Byzantine Empire, a time when both triumph and profound change reshaped its destiny. At the century's outset, Emperor Heraclius achieved a momentous victory over the Sasanian Empire, the Byzantine Empire's enduring rival in the East. This conflict, often described as a last great war of antiquity, culminated in Heraclius' triumphal recovery of the True Cross in 627 AD, a relic of immense spiritual and symbolic significance for the Christian world. This victory brought temporary stability and reformed Byzantium's supremacy in the region, yet it also exhausted both empires, leaving them vulnerable to new challenges. That challenge emerged swiftly and decisively in the form of Islam. Founded in the early 7th century by the Prophet Muhammad, Islam united the fractious Arab tribes under a common religious and political identity. Following Muhammad's death in 632 AD, the newly established Rashidun Caliphate began an extraordinary expansion motivated by religious fervor, strategic ambition, and the promise of unifying the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Within decades, Arab forces posed an existential threat to Byzantium, achieving a series of rapid conquests that would profoundly reshape the Middle East and North Africa. The Byzantine-Sasanian conflict had left the empire's eastern provinces weakened, providing an opening for the Arab armies. The Byzantine stronghold of Syria, Palestine, and Egypt fell one by one, as the Muslim forces capitalized on their military agility and the political unrest in these regions. The loss of Egypt, in particular, was devastating for the empire, as it had long been one of Byzantium's primary sources of grain and revenue. These territories, once the jewels of the Eastern Roman Empire, were irrevocably incorporated into the expanding Islamic Caliphate. For Byzantium, the rise of Islam marked a profound shift in the geopolitical landscape. The empire's territorial losses were not just a matter of geography, but also of cultural and religious identity. Byzantium was no longer the dominant power in the eastern Mediterranean. Instead, it had to contend with a new rival, whose cultural and religious influence would rival and often surpass its own. This period of crisis forced Byzantium to adapt and consolidate. Under Heraclius and his successors, the empire restructured its administration and military to better resist the Arab threat. One such adaptation was the development of the theme system, a decentralized military and administrative structure that helped Byzantium endure and even recover some lost territories in later centuries. Additionally, the empire's religious identity became increasingly tied to Orthodox Christianity, as it sought to differentiate itself from its Islamic neighbors. Despite these adaptations, the rise of Islam irrevocably altered the Byzantine world. The Islamic caliphates established centers of learning, trade, and culture in cities like Damascus, Baghdad, and Cairo, rivaling and at times eclipsing Constantinople's influence. Yet Byzantium endured, retaining its role as a cultural and political beacon, particularly in the Christian world. The rise of Islam was not simply the loss of territory, but the birth of a new era. It forced Byzantium to redefine itself, fostering innovations and resilience that would sustain the empire for centuries. While the 7th century marked a period of profound transformation, it also highlighted the Byzantine Empire's enduring ability to adapt and survive in the face of monumental challenges. Summary. Through centuries of change, the early Byzantine Empire proved to be a beacon of adaptation and cultural vitality. Its founding of Constantinople, embrace of Christianity, architectural marvels, and encounters with rival powers shaped not only Eastern Europe but the broader world. This was an era where tradition met innovation and resilience triumphed in the face of adversity. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the early Byzantine Empire. If you found this exploration of history fascinating, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the past. Let us know in the comments which part of the Byzantine Empire's history intrigued you the most. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next video. Welcome to a journey through one of the most fascinating chapters of medieval history, the Middle Byzantine Empire. This period, spanning from the 8th to the 12th century, was a time of dramatic change, resilience, and innovation. From diplomatic brilliance and military might to cultural influence and devastating setbacks, the Byzantine Empire navigated a shifting geopolitical landscape while leaving an indelible mark on the world. Let's dive into this incredible story of survival, ambition, and adaptation. 1. Guardians of the Eastern Mediterranean: diplomacy, religion, and military innovation. During the Middle Byzantine period, the empire solidified its position as a dominant force in the Eastern Mediterranean. This success stemmed from a masterful blend of strategic geography, religious influence, and military innovation. Byzantium leveraged these tools to maintain its supremacy in a region fraught with competition and shifting power dynamics. Central to the empire's influence was its role as the protector and promoter of Orthodox Christianity. This faith not only unified the Byzantine people, but also served as a powerful diplomatic and cultural tool. Byzantine missionaries, such as Saints Cyril and Methodius, carried the Orthodox Christian message beyond the empire's borders. Their mission to the Slavs, particularly in the lands of modern-day Eastern Europe, introduced Christianity and its associated cultural frameworks to a region that would come to identify deeply with the Byzantine tradition. The creation of the Cyrillic script, attributed to these missionaries, further cemented the Byzantine cultural legacy among Slavic peoples. Constantinople, the Byzantine capital, was the nerve center of this influence. Encircled by monumental walls and protected by natural and man-made defenses, the city was virtually impregnable. Yet Constantinople was more than a fortress. It was a bustling metropolis, a hub where trade routes converged, and an arena where diplomats negotiated complex alliances. The city's markets offered goods from Asia, Africa, and Europe, symbolizing the empire's central role in global commerce. Militarily, the Byzantine navy played a critical role in maintaining the empire's dominance over the Mediterranean. Armed with Greek fire, an incendiary weapon whose exact composition remains a mystery to this day, the navy repelled invasions and secured vital trade routes. This formidable technology, often described as a precursor to modern napalm, was both a practical weapon and a psychological deterrent. Its ability to burn even on water gave the Byzantines a decisive edge in naval warfare, securing their control over critical waterways. Diplomacy, too, was a cornerstone of Byzantine power. The empire's diplomats were renowned for their cunning and adaptability, often using negotiation and subterfuge to outmaneuver rivals. Rather than relying solely on military force, Byzantium cultivated alliances, manipulated rivalries, and employed strategic marriages to maintain its influence. These efforts were particularly crucial as neighboring powers, such as the Bulgars and the Rus, began establishing their own states and challenging Byzantine authority. Despite these challenges, Byzantium's combination of religious outreach, military innovation, and diplomatic strategy ensured its survival and leadership in the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries. The empire's ability to adapt and innovate, even in the face of formidable opposition, solidified its reputation as the guardian of Eastern Christianity and a keystone of medieval geopolitics. This unique blend of faith, force, and fineness not only secured Byzantium's dominance, but also left a legacy that continues to shape the cultural and political landscape of Eastern Europe and the Mediterranean to this day. 2. Challenges from all sides: the rise of new powers. Middle Byzantine Empire, though a formidable power in its own right, was constantly tested by the emergence of new rivals on every front. These pressures not only threatened its territorial integrity, but also reshaped its strategies, governance, and place in the medieval world. From the north, wave of Slavic and Rus migrations presented a persistent challenge. Drawn by the wealth and fertile lands of the Balkans, these groups began to settle and establish their own spheres of influence. The Slavs, initially fragmented, gradually coalesced into powerful polities that often clashed with Byzantine authority. The Rus, originating from the steppes and river systems of Eastern Europe, emerged as both trading partners and adversaries, making their mark with devastating raids on Byzantine territories, including an assault on Constantinople itself in the 10th century. In the West, the Roman Catholic Church under the papacy grew increasingly assertive. By consolidating its power and aligning with emerging European monarchies, the Church extended its influence across Western Europe. The divide between the Byzantine Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church deepened, culminating in the Great Schism of 1054. This division was not merely theological, it reflected broader political and cultural rivalries, with the papacy often viewing Byzantine influence as an obstacle to its own ambitions. Meanwhile, the eastern frontier of the empire faced relentless assaults from Islamic forces. The Arab caliphates, unified by their faith and driven by military zeal, launched repeated incursions into Byzantine territory. By the 7th century, they had captured key regions such as Syria, Palestine, and Egypt, severely undermining the empire's control over its eastern provinces. However, the most dramatic challenge came with the rise of the Seljuk Turks in the 11th century. The Seljuks, a Turkic nomadic group turned empire builders, embraced Islam and quickly established dominance over much of the Islamic world. Their expansion brought them into direct conflict with Byzantium, culminating in the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, a pivotal event in Byzantine history. At Manzikert, the Byzantine army, led by Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes, faced a crushing defeat. Betrayal within the Byzantine ranks and the Seljuks' superior strategy led to a catastrophic collapse. This defeat shattered Byzantine control over Anatolia, the empire's economic and military heartland, and opened the region to Turkic settlement. The loss of Anatolia was a devastating blow, as it deprived the empire of crucial agricultural resources, manpower, and strategic depth. The aftermath of Manzikert forced Byzantium into a precarious position, both politically and militarily. The empire's weakened state exposed it to further internal dissent and external threats, compelling it to seek alliances with Western powers, a decision that would eventually entangle Byzantium in the Crusades. Despite these challenges, the Byzantine Empire endured, adapting its strategies and consolidating its remaining territories. Its resilience in the face of such overwhelming pressure is a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of its leaders and people. However, the rise of these new powers forever altered the Byzantine world, marking the beginning of its transition from a dominant empire to a beleaguered state, fighting for survival in an increasingly hostile medieval landscape. 3. The theme system, a backbone of survival. The Byzantine Empire's ability to endure relentless external pressures and internal challenges was underpinned by a revolutionary administrative and military innovation, the system introduced during the 7th century. This system transformed the way Byzantium managed its vast territories, bolstering its resilience in an age of near-constant warfare and political upheaval. At its core, the theme system divided the empire into military districts called themes. Each theme was governed by a military general or strategos, who wielded both administrative and military authority. This dual role allowed the strategos to efficiently manage local resources, coordinate defense efforts, and respond swiftly to invasions or uprisings. By decentralizing power, the theme system reduced the logistical burden on the imperial government in Constantinople, enabling it to focus on broader strategic concerns. Themes also provided a practical solution to the empire's fiscal and manpower challenges. Soldiers serving in the Byzantine army were granted land within their assigned theme. In exchange, they committed to military service, creating a self-sustaining defense force rooted in the local population. This system ensured that troops had a vested interest in defending their own communities, fostering loyalty and reducing reliance on costly mercenaries. The economic benefits of the theme system were profound. By linking military service to land ownership, the empire alleviated the financial strain of maintaining a standing army. Furthermore, the redistribution of land helped stabilize rural economies, which were vital to the empire's agricultural output and tax revenue. These reforms provided the Byzantine state with a steady and reliable source of income, critical for sustaining its administrative and military operations. Simultaneously, the Byzantine Church played a crucial role in unifying the empire. As the state grappled with external threats and internal fragmentation, the Church became a cornerstone of Byzantine identity. It defined and disseminated Orthodox Christian doctrine, offering spiritual cohesion to an empire spanning diverse cultures and regions. The close relationship between the Church and the state reinforced loyalty to the emperor, who was seen as God's appointed ruler. Another pillar of Byzantine stability during this period was the reform of its currency system. The introduction of the solidus, a gold coin of exceptional purity, became a cornerstone of the empire's economic strength. The solidus was trusted across Europe and the Mediterranean, facilitating trade and ensuring fiscal stability, even in times of crisis. This dependable currency allowed the Byzantine Empire to project economic influence far beyond its borders. The system, in conjunction with these economic and religious reforms, was instrumental in Byzantium's survival during a period of near-constant turmoil. It enabled the empire to endure and adapt, maintaining its integrity while rivals rose and fell around it. The legacy of the theme system is a testament to the Byzantine Empire's ingenuity, showing how innovation in governance and resource management can sustain a civilization through even the most daunting challenges. 4. Military triumphs and diplomatic maneuvers. The Macedonian Renaissance. The rise of the Macedonian dynasty marked a golden era in Byzantine history, characterized by territorial expansion, military triumphs, and cultural revival. This period, often referred to as the Macedonian Renaissance, saw the Byzantine Empire reach its zenith as a political, military, and cultural power in the medieval world. Under the leadership of visionary emperors such as Basil II, the empire not only secured its borders, but also projected its influence far beyond them. One of the dynasty's most celebrated figures was Emperor Basil II, famously nicknamed the Bulgar Slayer. His reign was defined by relentless campaigns against the First Bulgarian Empire, culminating in its complete subjugation in 1018. Basil's military acumen and determination led to a series of decisive victories, including the Battle of Claudion in 1014, where his forces shattered the Bulgarian army. The aftermath was grim. Basil reportedly blended 15,000 captured Bulgarian soldiers, leaving 1 in every 100 with a single eye to lead the rest back to their king, a brutal display of power that cemented his reputation. With Bulgaria's annexation, Byzantium's borders stretched across the Balkans, marking the height of its territorial control during the Middle Ages. Beyond the battlefield, the Macedonian emperors excelled in diplomacy, skillfully navigating a complex and often hostile international landscape. The Byzantine court maintained intricate relations with the Abbasid Caliphate, negotiating trade agreements and occasionally cooperating against mutual enemies. These diplomatic efforts underscored Byzantium's role as a bridge between the Christian and Islamic worlds, leveraging its position to maintain stability and foster economic prosperity. Relations with Western Europe, however, were more contentious. The Macedonian dynasty sought to balance alliances with the Holy Roman Empire, while asserting Byzantine supremacy in matters of faith and politics. Marriages, treaties, and strategic gifts were employed to curry favor and secure alliances. Yet these interactions often sowed the seeds of future discord. Growing cultural and religious divide between the Byzantine Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church became increasingly apparent, foreshadowing the Great Schism of 1054 and the eventual hostilities of the Crusades. Culturally, the Macedonian Renaissance was a period of extraordinary achievement. The empire experienced a revival in art, literature, and theology, with scholars and artists drawing inspiration from classical antiquity while integrating Christian themes. Manuscripts, mosaics, and architectural masterpieces flourished, reflecting the empire's prosperity and the court's patronage of intellectual pursuits. This cultural vibrancy extended Byzantium's influence far beyond its borders, inspiring neighboring states and leaving a lasting legacy on medieval Europe. Despite these achievements, the seeds of Byzantium's later challenges were sown during this period. The extensive military campaigns and the complexities of maintaining a vast empire placed significant strains on resources. Moreover, the delicate balance of diplomacy with Western Europe would eventually unravel, leading to tensions that would culminate in the Fourth Crusade and the sack of Constantinople in 1204. The Macedonian Renaissance stands as a testament to the Byzantine Empire's resilience and ambition. Through a combination of military prowess, diplomatic finesse, and cultural innovation, the empire reached unparalleled heights. Yet, the very successes of this era also laid the groundwork for the challenges to come, underscoring the delicate interplay between triumph and vulnerability in the history of great empires. 5. The turning point Manzikert and the rise of the Seljuks. Battle of Manzikert in 1071 stands as one of the most pivotal moments in Byzantine history, a dramatic turning point that reshaped the empire's destiny. This catastrophic defeat, inflicted by the Seljuk Turks under Sultan Alp Arslan, not only resulted in the loss of vast territories, but also exposed the fragility of Byzantium's internal and external stability. The events leading to Manzikert were rooted in a period of growing pressure on the Byzantine Empire. For decades, the Seljuks, a rising Turkic power, had been making inroads into Anatolia, a region that served as the empire's economic backbone and primary recruitment ground for its armies. The Seljuks' westward expansion, driven by their military prowess and organizational acumen, brought them into direct conflict with Byzantium, threatening the empire's control over its eastern provinces. In response, Emperor Romanos IV Diogenes sought to confront this looming threat head-on, assembling a large, multi-ethnic army that included Byzantine regulars, mercenaries, and allied forces. Romanos aimed to decisively check Seljuk advances. However, his campaign was fraught with logistical challenges and political tensions. The Byzantine army's cohesion was undermined by rival factions within the court, with some nobles actively undermining the emperor's authority. The decisive clash occurred near the town of Manzikert, located in eastern Anatolia. Initially, Romanos' forces achieved some success, but the situation quickly deteriorated. Poor coordination, a lack of discipline among the disparate troops, and cruel betrayals within the Byzantine ranks led to chaos on the battlefield. Alp Arslan, employing superior tactics and exploiting the Byzantines' weaknesses, encircled and overwhelmed Romanos' forces. The emperor himself was captured, a humiliating blow to Byzantine prestige. The consequences of Manzikert were devastating. Anatolia, the empire's heartland, was effectively lost to the Seljuks. In the aftermath of the battle, Turkic groups flooded into the region, establishing settlements and eroding Byzantine control. The loss of Anatolia dealt a severe blow to the empire's economy, as it was a crucial source of grain, taxes, and soldiers. It also marked a turning point in the demographic and cultural makeup of the region, paving the way for the eventual rise of the Ottoman Empire. Internally, the defeat exacerbated existing divisions within Byzantium. Romanos IV's capture and subsequent release did not restore his authority. Instead, it fueled a bitter power struggle among rival factions. The Byzantine court descended into infighting, weakening the empire's ability to respond effectively to external threats. This political instability further eroded the empire's military capabilities, leaving it vulnerable to subsequent incursions. Manzikert also signaled the rise of the Seljuks as a dominant power in the Middle East. With their newfound foothold in Anatolia, the Seljuks established the Sultanate of Rum, a rival state that would challenge Byzantine influence for centuries. The victory at Manzikert demonstrated the strategic and tactical superiority of their forces, marking a shift in the balance of power in the region. Despite its devastating impact, the Byzantine Empire survived Manzikert, albeit in a diminished and weakened state. Over the following decades, efforts to stabilize the empire under the Komnenos dynasty achieved some success, but the loss of Anatolia remained a crippling blow. Manzikert not only altered the geopolitical landscape of the medieval world, but also underscored the fragility of even the most enduring empires when faced with internal divisions and external pressures. This watershed moment serves as a stark reminder of how a single battle can reshape the course of history, setting the stage for the transformations that would define the medieval Mediterranean for centuries to come. 6. The Comnenian struggle revival amidst chaos. Komnenos dynasty represents a critical chapter in the Byzantine Empire's history, a period marked by resilience, revival, and eventual turmoil, emerging from the chaos following the catastrophic loss at Manzikert and the political instability of the late 11th century. Komnenian emperors sought to restore the empire's fortunes. Their efforts brought partial recovery and military success, but they also set the stage for challenges that would culminate in one of Byzantium's darkest moments. The reign of Alexios I Komnenos, the founder of the dynasty, was pivotal in stabilizing the empire. Taking the throne in 1081, Alexios inherited a realm on the brink of collapse. Anatolia had been overrun by the Seljuk Turks. The economy was in disarray, and internal factions threatened to tear the state apart. Alexios' leadership, however, marked a turning point. Through military reforms and pragmatic alliances, he managed to reassert Byzantine control over key territories in the Balkans and western Anatolia. One of Alexios' most significant strategies was seeking assistance from Western powers. Facing the Seljuk threat, Alexios appealed to Pope Urban II, a request that ultimately led to the launch of the First Crusade. While the Crusades were intended to aid Byzantium in reclaiming lost lands, they also introduced new complexities. The crusading armies, though initially cooperative, often acted independently, creating tensions with their Byzantine hosts. Despite these challenges, Alexios skillfully leveraged the First Crusade to his advantage, regaining cities like Nicaea and securing parts of Anatolia. Khmerian dynasty's success continued under Alexios' successors, including John II Komnenos and Manuel I Komnenos. John II expanded the empire's frontiers through campaigns in the Balkans and Anatolia, while Manuel I sought to restore Byzantium's standing as a Mediterranean power. Manuel's reign was characterized by ambitious diplomacy and military ventures, including engagements with the Crusader states, the Holy Roman Empire, and even Muslim powers. These efforts temporarily bolstered the empire's influence, but strained its resources and exposed it to new vulnerabilities. Despite these achievements, the Khmerian period was not without its challenges. The Crusades, initially seen as a potential boon, gradually became a source of friction. Western Crusaders and their Byzantine counterparts often clashed over strategy, territory, and cultural differences. This growing mistrust between Byzantium and the Latin West foreshadowed the events of the Fourth Crusade in 1204, a catastrophic turning point in Byzantine history. The Fourth Crusade, ostensibly aimed at reclaiming the Holy Land, was diverted to Constantinople, spurred by Venetian commercial interests and internal Byzantine politics. In April 1204, Crusader forces breached the city's formidable walls, sacking Constantinople in a shocking display of violence and greed. The city's vast treasures were plundered, its sacred relics desecrated, and its populace subjected to atrocities. The Byzantine Empire, already weakened, was dealt an almost irreparable blow. In the aftermath, the Latin Empire was established in Constantinople, while the Byzantine government was forced into exile. Successor states, including the Empire of Nicaea, the Empire of Trebizond, and the Despotate of Epirus, struggled to maintain Byzantine traditions and reclaim lost territories. While the Empire of Nicaea would eventually retake Constantinople in 1261, the empire's territorial integrity and geopolitical dominance were irretrievably fractured. The Khmerian era is a testament to Byzantium's resilience and adaptability. The dynasty's efforts temporarily reversed the empire's decline, showcasing its capacity for recovery even in the face of overwhelming odds. However, the long-term consequences of the Crusades, coupled with internal and external pressures, revealed the fragility of even the most determined revival efforts. Komnenos dynasty's legacy is one of both triumph and tragedy, reflecting the complexities of maintaining an empire in an ever-changing medieval world. Summary: the Middle Byzantine Empire was a story of resilience and transformation. It survived relentless challenges from all directions while maintaining its cultural, religious, and military significance. However, the shifting geopolitical landscape and the rise of new powers ultimately reshaped its role in the medieval world. From its innovations in governance to its cultural and religious influence, Byzantium's legacy endured, shaping the history of Europe and the Mediterranean for centuries. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Middle Byzantine Empire. If you found this story of resilience and transformation captivating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into history. Let us know in the comments which part of Byzantium's story intrigued you the most. Until next time, keep exploring the past, and we'll see you in the next video. Welcome to a deep dive into the dramatic final centuries of the Byzantine Empire. Today, we'll explore how this once mighty civilization experienced a cultural renaissance under the Palaiologos dynasty, while facing relentless threats from the rising Ottoman Empire, from the recapture of Constantinople to its ultimate fall in 1453. This is the story of Byzantium's resilience, creativity, and enduring legacy. 1. The triumph of 1261, Michael II and the restoration of Byzantium. In the summer of 1261, the Byzantine Empire witnessed a turning point that reignited its legacy and offered a glimmer of hope after decades of upheaval. Michael II Palaiologos, a skilled leader and strategist, accomplished what many thought impossible: the recapture of Constantinople from the Latin Empire. This monumental achievement marked the end of a 57-year period, during which the Byzantine capital had been under foreign occupation following the devastating Fourth Crusade. It also signaled the beginning of the Palaiologos dynasty, which would preside over the empire's final chapter from 1261 to 1453. Michael V's victory was not merely a military success, it was a profound moment of political and cultural restoration. By reclaiming Constantinople, he re-established the Byzantine state's sovereignty and symbolically reunited its people under a shared identity. The city, which had endured extensive damage and neglect under Latin rule, once again became the beating heart of the Byzantine world. Following this triumph, Michael VIII focused on rebuilding Constantinople, reviving its role as a center of art, scholarship, and spirituality. The Palaiologos dynasty oversaw a remarkable cultural renaissance. Byzantine artists created masterpieces of religious art, including mosaics and frescoes that adorned churches and monasteries. These works, characterized by their spiritual intensity and intricate detail, showcased the enduring creativity of Byzantine artisans. Even in the face of political decline, the intellectual revival under the Palaiologos dynasty was equally significant. Theologians and philosophers engaged deeply with classical texts, blending the wisdom of ancient Greece with the theological insights of Orthodox Christianity. Constantinople became a hub of scholarship, where manuscripts were preserved, copied, and studied. This intellectual activity not only enriched Byzantine culture, but also had a far-reaching impact on the broader medieval world. As the empire faced mounting external pressures, particularly from the rising Ottoman Turks, Byzantine scholars began migrating to Western Europe. These immigrants carried with them priceless manuscripts and a deep understanding of classical knowledge. Their contributions played a crucial role in sparking the Italian Renaissance, as their expertise in ancient Greek literature, philosophy, and science infused new energy into European intellectual life. The restoration of Constantinople under Michael VIII was thus more than a political or military achievement, it was a declaration of the Byzantine Empire's enduring spirit. Despite its reduced territorial footprint and ongoing challenges, the empire reasserted its identity as a bastion of art, faith, and learning. The Palaiologos dynasty's efforts ensured that Byzantium's cultural legacy would resonate long after the empire itself had fallen,
shaping the course of European history and preserving the brilliance of its heritage for generations to come.
2. The Ottoman threat, the encroaching storm. As the Palaiologos emperors presided over a cultural revival in Constantinople, a looming shadow grew to the east: the Ottoman Turks, a rising power in Anatolia. By the 14th century, the Ottomans had emerged as an existential threat to the Byzantine Empire, systematically dismantling its territorial holdings and encircling its capital. The Ottomans' rise began under Osman I, the founder of the Ottoman dynasty, who established a small but expanding principality in northwestern Anatolia during the late 13th century. Over the next several decades, Osman's successors demonstrated remarkable military prowess, organizational skill, and adaptability. They capitalized on the fragmentation of the Byzantine Empire, exploiting the weaknesses left by the Fourth Crusade and internal Byzantine struggles. By the mid-14th century, the Ottomans had consolidated their control over Byzantine territories in Anatolia, effectively severing the empire from its economic and military heartland. Without Anatolia's resources, Byzantium faced significant challenges in maintaining its armies, fortifications, and political stability. The loss of these provinces left the empire increasingly reliant on Constantinople and a few scattered enclaves in the Balkans. Under Sultan Murad I, the Ottoman expansion intensified. The Ottomans crossed into Europe, using the strategic Gallipoli Peninsula as a bridgehead for further conquests in the Balkans. Murad's forces captured Adrianople, modern Edirne, in 1369, a crucial city that became the new Ottoman capital and a staging ground for their European campaigns. The fall of Adrianople was a devastating blow to the Byzantine Empire, symbolizing the Ottoman dominance in southeastern Europe and their encroachment on Constantinople itself. The Ottomans' military success was driven by their innovative use of combined arms tactics, disciplined armies, and the formidable janissaries, an elite corps of soldiers trained from a young age. These elements gave the Ottomans a significant advantage over their fragmented and under-resourced opponents. Additionally, their policy of granting autonomy to local populations under Ottoman rule minimized resistance and ensured a steady flow of revenue and manpower. For the Byzantine Empire, the Ottoman threat represented a relentless siege, both literal and figurative. The empire, reduced to a small enclave centered around Constantinople, struggled to resist. Its leaders sought assistance from Western Europe, But the deep divisions between the Orthodox and Catholic churches limited the effectiveness of these appeals. Byzantine emperors also turned to desperate measures, including territorial concessions and alliances, to stave off complete collapse. Despite their efforts, the Ottomans' momentum proved unstoppable. Each defeat further eroded Byzantium's territorial integrity, isolating Constantinople and turning it into an island of resistance in a sea of Ottoman dominance. The once mighty Byzantine Empire was now a shadow of its former self, clinging to survival in the face of a relentless and well-organized adversary. The Ottoman threat during this period not only marked the decline of Byzantium, but also heralded the rise of a new power that would dominate the region for centuries. The encroachment of the Ottomans was more than a military conquest. It was a seismic shift in the balance of power in the medieval Mediterranean, setting the stage for the empire's eventual fall and the transformation of the region's political landscape. 3. The union of churches, a desperate bid for survival. As the Byzantine Empire faced the relentless advance of the Ottoman Turks in the 15th century, its leaders turned to a controversial and deeply divisive strategy: the union of the churches. This initiative sought to reconcile the schism between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches, a rift that had officially begun in 1054. Byzantine emperors hoped that this union would secure the military and financial aid desperately needed from Western Europe to counter the growing Ottoman threat. Proposal for union was born out of pragmatism rather than theological agreement. By the time of Emperor John VIII Palaiologos, the Byzantine Empire was reduced to little more than the city of Constantinople and a few scattered territories. The looming Ottoman forces threatened the empire's very existence. Recognizing the dire situation, Byzantine rulers believed that aligning with the Catholic West might provide access to the armies and resources of powerful states, such as Veneziano and the Papal States. In 1439, the Council of Florence formally declared the union. Byzantine representatives, including Emperor John VIII and Patriarch Joseph II, traveled to Italy to negotiate with the Catholic Church. Council produced an agreement that acknowledged the primacy of the Pope, along with theological concessions on controversial issues like the Filioque Clause and Purgatory. For the Catholic Church, the union was a triumph, appearing to heal a centuries-old divide. For the Byzantines, it was a calculated gamble to preserve their empire. However, the union was met with fierce resistance back home. The Byzantine clergy and laity largely rejected the agreement, viewing it as a betrayal of Orthodox traditions and a surrender to Western dominance. The Orthodox Church, deeply intertwined with Byzantine identity, had long stood as a counterpoint to Catholicism, preserving its distinct theological and liturgical practices. For many Byzantines, the idea of submitting to papal authority was anathema, no matter the political stakes. This resistance was exemplified by figures such as Mark of Ephesus, one of the leading Orthodox theologians of the time. Mark refused to sign the union agreement and became a vocal critic, rallying the Byzantine populace against what he saw as a capitulation to heresy. His opposition ensured that the union would remain deeply unpopular within Byzantium, undermining its implementation. Despite the formal declaration of union, the anticipated support from the Catholic West was underwhelming. While some individual states and mercenaries provided limited assistance, Western Europe was largely preoccupied with its own conflicts, including the 100 Years' War and internal power struggles. The papacy, though symbolically supportive, lacked the means to mount a larger-scale defense of Constantinople. The failure of the union of the churches to deliver tangible aid left Byzantium isolated as the Ottoman advance continued. By the time Sultan Mehmed II laid siege to Constantinople in 1453, the city was surrounded and its defenders vastly outnumbered.
Promise of unity and Western support had proven hollow, and the Byzantine Empire faced its final hour alone.
The union of the churches remains a poignant episode in Byzantine history, illustrating the desperate measures the empire took to ensure its survival. It highlighted the profound tensions between faith and politics, identity and pragmatism, and East and West. Ultimately, the union's failure underscored the deep divisions within Christendom, divisions that would persist long after the fall of Byzantium. 4. The rise of Greek identity, cultural resilience, amid decline.
In the twilight of the Byzantine Empire, as its territorial holdings dwindled and its political power faltered,
an extraordinary cultural and intellectual renaissance unfolded. This era, marked by profound introspection, saw Byzantine thinkers, artists and scholars turn inward to assert a distinct Greek identity, rooted in their Hellenistic heritage and Orthodox Christian tradition. Despite the mounting external pressures from the advancing Ottoman Turks and the fragmentation of the empire, Byzantium experienced a remarkable flowering of creativity and learning that would leave a lasting legacy. Palaiologos dynasty, ruling from 1261 to 1453, played a central role in fostering this cultural revival.
As the empire grappled with geopolitical decline,
Its leaders recognized the importance of preserving and celebrating its rich intellectual and artistic heritage. Byzantine scholars delved into the works of ancient Greek philosophers, scientists, and historians, breathing new life into classical texts that had long defined the cultural identity of the Greek-speaking world. This renewed interest in Hellenistic thought was not merely an academic exercise. It was a conscious effort to reaffirm Byzantium's unique position as the inheritor of both the Roman Empire and the Greek intellectual tradition. Scholars such as George Gemistus Plithon championed the study of Plato and other classical thinkers, advocating for a philosophical revival that combined ancient wisdom with contemporary orthodox theology. Plithon's works would later influence the Italian Renaissance, as Byzantine scholars fleeing the fall of Constantinople carried these ideas westward, igniting a new era of learning in Europe. Art and architecture during this period also reflected the blending of classical forms with Byzantine spiritual themes. The Palaiologos dynasty supported the decoration of churches and monasteries, with stunning mosaics and frescoes that exemplified the empire's enduring creativity. These works often depicted scenes from the Bible and the lives of saints, rendered with a depth and emotional resonance that reflected both the spiritual and humanistic dimensions of Byzantine culture. The architectural innovations of the time showcased a similar synthesis. Churches built during the Palaiologos period often combined traditional Byzantine domes and layouts with intricate decorative elements inspired by classical motifs. This fusion of styles symbolized Byzantium's resilience, using art and architecture as a means to express continuity in the face of decline. This period also saw the development of a stronger sense of Greek identity, distinct from the broader Roman heritage that had traditionally defined Byzantium. As the empire's territorial losses concentrated its population in predominantly Greek-speaking regions, there was a natural shift toward emphasizing Hellenistic culture. This identity was further reinforced by the Orthodox Church, which served as a unifying force for the Greek-speaking Christian population, preserving religious and cultural traditions amidst external challenges. The rise of Greek identity during this time was not merely a defensive response to decline, but a proactive effort to define and celebrate the uniqueness of Byzantine civilization. Even as the empire faced the inevitability of its fall, its cultural contributions reached new heights, ensuring that its intellectual and artistic achievements would endure far beyond its political collapse. The legacy of this cultural resilience is profound. Preservation and transmission of Greek classical knowledge through Byzantine scholars played a crucial role in shaping the intellectual foundations of the Renaissance. The art and architecture of the Palaiologos period continue to inspire admiration for their beauty and innovation. In many ways, this cultural flowering amid geopolitical decline epitomized the spirit of Byzantium, a civilization that, even in its final days, illuminated the world with its enduring creativity and wisdom. 5. The final days, Byzantium's last stand. By the dawn of the 15th century, the Byzantine Empire, once the cornerstone of a vast and powerful civilization, had been reduced to a fragile remnant centered on Constantinople. Encircled by the ever-expanding Ottoman Empire, Byzantium stood as a solitary vestige of its former grandeur, its survival hanging by a thread. Despite valiant efforts to secure alliances and fortify defenses, the fall of Constantinople became a tragic inevitability, a moment that would signal not only the end of the Byzantine Empire, but also the dawn of a new era dominated by the Ottomans. The final years of Byzantium were marked by desperate attempts to rally support from the West. The Byzantine emperors, recognizing their isolation, pursued diplomatic overtures to Western Europe, often invoking shared Christian faith as a unifying cause against the Ottoman threat. Efforts such as the Union of the Churches, agreed upon at the Council of Florence in 1439, sought to reconcile the centuries-old schism between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches. In exchange for military aid, however, these overtures were met with skepticism and reluctance in the West, and the promised reinforcements fell far short of what was needed to defend the city. By 1453, the Ottoman Empire, under the ambitious and visionary Sultan Mehmed II, was poised to strike the final blow. Mehmed, determined to capture Constantinople and secure his place in history, assembled a massive army estimated at over 80,000 men, equipped with state-of-the-art siege weaponry, including enormous cannons capable of shattering the city's ancient walls. The Byzantine defenders, numbering only around 7,000 soldiers including mercenaries and a small contingent of Venetian and Genoese allies faced insurmountable odds. The siege of Constantinople began on April 6, 1453, and lasted for nearly 2 months. The city's legendary fortifications, including the triple-layered Theodosian walls, initially withstood the Ottoman assault. Defenders fought valiantly, utilizing every available resource to repel the invaders, including Greek fire, a weapon that had protected the city for centuries. However, the Ottomans employed relentless tactics, digging tunnels, bombarding the walls, and maintaining constant pressure on multiple fronts. Inside the city, morale was strained but unbroken. Constantine XI Palaiologos, the last Byzantine emperor, embodied the spirit of defiance, refusing offers of surrender and choosing to fight alongside his soldiers. His leadership inspired the defenders, but the overwhelming force of the Ottoman assault began to take its toll.
A decisive moment came in the early hours of May 29, 1453, when the Ottomans launched a final, loud assault.
After weeks of bombardment, a section of the Theodosian walls near the gate of St. Romanus collapsed, allowing the Ottoman forces to breach the city's defenses. Fierce hand-to-hand combat ensued, but the vastly outnumbered defenders were overwhelmed. Constantine XI is said to have died on the battlefield, refusing to flee and instead choosing to perish with his city. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, a civilization that had endured for over a millennium as the continuation of the Roman Empire. The Ottomans, under Mehmed II henceforth, known as Mehmed the Conqueror, declared Constantinople the new capital of their empire. The city, renamed Istanbul, would become the heart of Ottoman power and a bridge between Europe and Asia. The fall of Constantinople was more than a military conquest, it was a turning point in world history. It marked the end of the medieval period and the rise of a new geopolitical order dominated by the Ottomans. Yet Byzantium's legacy endured. Its cultural, religious, and intellectual contributions continued to shape the Renaissance, the Orthodox Church, and the history of Europe and the Middle East. The fall of Constantinople was not just an ending, it was the beginning of a new chapter in global history. Summary. The late Byzantine Empire was a story of contrasts. Cultural revival alongside territorial decline, resilience amid overwhelming odds. While the Palaiologos dynasty restored Constantinople's glory in 1261, the rise of the Ottoman Empire ultimately sealed Byzantium's fate. Yet, the Byzantine legacy endured, shaping art, religion, and scholarship for centuries to come.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the late Byzantine Empire.
If you enjoyed this exploration of history, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the past. Let us know in the comments what you found most fascinating about Byzantium's final chapter. Until next time, keep discovering history's hidden tales, and we'll see you in the next video.